World Environment Report. Diplomat talks on climate change.
Hello, I'm Mumtaz Zahra Baloch, Ambassador of Pakistan to the Republic of Korea. Climate change is a global threat. In Pakistan, we are also suffering from the effects of climate change, and Pakistan is among the top 10 countries affected by climate change. But together, we can ensure a world free from the effects of climate change for the future generations. So I welcome you to Pakistan House, where we can discuss climate change, its impact on our society and economy, and how the nation of Pakistan is responding to this threat.
From a beautiful garden with green trees to many paintings and Pakistani props around the residence, I felt like I took a plane ride to Pakistan. Now, Ambassador, before coming for the interview today, we did some research and came across many articles talking about how Pakistan received heavy monsoon rainfalls in recent years. Do you really feel like climate change is becoming a big threat to your country?
Actually, you're absolutely right. Climate change is a challenge, not just for Pakistan, but for the entire region of South Asia and rest of the world. We are seeing abnormal rain patterns. We are seeing rising temperatures, melting of glaciers, and these are developments that worry Pakistan. Pakistan is a country which is listed among the top 10 countries most affected by climate change. And we have seen that over the last 10 years, 90% of natural disasters in Pakistan were triggered by climate change. So it is definitely a concern for Pakistan. We are seeing that because of these changing climatic conditions, Pakistani economy is also taking a hit. Our society is also evolving. There is a movement of people from various regions to other regions where these demographic changes is also impacting the society. And in 2010, we had a huge flood that spread throughout the country. And that is when the country woke up to the challenge of climate change and how our country would be seriously in danger if we do not do anything about climate change as a priority.
In the summer of 2010, Pakistan was hit by a huge flood. Around 20 million people were affected, and more than 1,700 people died. According to a study, Pakistan has been one of the 10 countries in the world most vulnerable to the impact of climate change over the last 2 decades. Many Pakistanis are having to uproot their lives and move to regions that are safer from natural disasters. This is because climate change is directly threatening the lives and livelihoods of Pakistanis. Land area is gradually decreasing due to rising sea levels, and it's becoming less arable because of abnormal rain and drought. If global warming continues on its current trajectory and the global average temperature rises by 3.2 degrees Celsius, the number of climate refugees in Pakistan can reach up to 2 million by 2050. Aside from the polar regions, Pakistan has the most glacier ice in the world. Glaciers in Pakistan are the main source of water for the Indus Basin, and around 75% of the Pakistani population live near the Indus River. But with the glaciers rapidly melting and the amount of groundwater decreasing, water supplies are becoming scarcer. Another worry is the economic impact of climate change. The agricultural sector, especially vulnerable to abnormal temperatures and droughts, accounts for around 24% of Pakistan's GDP. This means economic losses are inevitable. One study predicted that climate change will cost Pakistan around $3.8 billion every year.
So let's delve deeper into the government's plans and projects and its initiatives. What's included in Pakistan's action plan?
For example, in an energy policy, the effort is to increase the quantum of renewable energy in Pakistan's energy mix, so that we reach 30% of renewable energy by 2030. That is a target that Pakistan wishes to attain. Similarly, we are in terms of transport, we are planning to move to electric vehicles. Our electric vehicle policy has come out, and the objective is to bring electric vehicles on Pakistan's roads. Again, the target is about 30% electric vehicles by 2030. Then there are several policies relating to water conservation and use of pesticides in agriculture, how we can control these measures that we have been taking for years and which have been unfortunately affecting our economy. So encouraging our farmers to move to more efficient ways of farming, that is again a priority that is taking place.
Amid the rising threat of climate change, Pakistan passed the Climate Change Bill in 2017 and established the Climate Change Council for policymaking. There are also a lot of policies and projects in place to protect agriculture, which is particularly vulnerable to climate change. Today in Pakistan, it's harder to grow crops because of the rising temperatures. Precipitation patterns are harder to predict, and extreme weather is more frequent. All this is causing massive damage to the agricultural sector. To address this issue, the Food and Agriculture Organization, or FAO, partnered up with Pakistan and the GCF to help farmers in the Indus Basin build up climate resilience and manage water resources. In this way, Pakistan is hoping to enhance its soil productivity through sustainable agricultural technology, as well as increase climate adaptability. Pakistan is taking advantage of the fact that it has mostly clear weather throughout the year, excluding the rainy season, to produce energy from renewable sources such as solar and wind. The Pakistani government announced the Alternative and Renewable Energy Policy 2019, with the goal of increasing the share of renewable energy in the power grid from the 5% recorded in 2019 to 20% by 2025 and 30% by 2030. To achieve this goal, they've come up with a variety of systems to supply sustainable electricity by giving incentives to companies that participate and invest in renewable energy projects, and by building more solar and wind power plants. Amid the ceaseless threat of climate change, Pakistan is continuously innovating and planning for future-oriented solutions.
Another important aspect in all this is ecosystem restoration. We are trying to ensure that we reclaim our lost lands, the loss of forest land, the loss of wetlands. So we are trying to reclaim that land so that we control the quantum of desertification in Pakistan. And in that respect, the flagship project introduced by our Prime Minister is called a 10 billion tree tsunami project. And the objective is to plant trees across the country. We have had a successful pilot project in the province of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, where 1 billion trees were planted. And we are hoping that over the next few years we would be able to meet our targets and plant more and more trees, because we would like to reclaim that lost forest land.
So when we try to achieve the goals that we had set, oftentimes policymaking needs to take place, and it's really difficult because the challenges are always there when we try to make something new and try out things that are new.
You're absolutely right. This is a very challenging situation. And Pakistan is a country which produces very little greenhouse gas emissions, less than 1%, but it is among the top countries affected by climate change. And more importantly, all these things require resources. Many of the targets that I mentioned, they were set before COVID-19 hit, which has basically burdened national budgets of countries, including Pakistan. Then there are other issues where we would need further collaboration with the international community. And within the country also there is need for more effort. For example, if we have to move to electric vehicles, it is not simply buying electric vehicles and putting them on the roads. You have to have a whole ecosystem of electric grids. So these are challenges that take some time to implement. And we believe that for social and cultural changes, the work should start from the younger generations, because they are more adaptable, they are more aware of what is happening around them, and they are more committed to fighting climate change. So this is a long-drawn battle. It will take some time, but important thing is to ensure that our priorities are right, that there is a consensus nationally, there is international collaboration, and then of course we should make our efforts to raise the requisite funds to ensure that climate change remains a priority in our policy making.
Well, let's shift our gears a bit and focus on the bilateral Green Alliance we have between Korea and Pakistan. Tell us more about that.
Pakistan and Korea have a good understanding on climate change issues. Korea is now a leader as far as climate change initiatives are concerned. We are also very encouraged to see the new initiatives of zero carbon initiatives which have been announced by the Korean government. So we would like to learn from the Korean experience. And there is a lot of interaction that takes place between our climate change authorities. Pakistan and Korea have been working closely in the context of the Green Climate Fund. We have been working closely in the United Nations. Korean companies are also now introducing electric vehicles in Pakistan. And last year we received a first investment from a Korean company to develop electric vehicles in Pakistan. It is a small start. It is in the context of motorbikes at this stage, but the idea is that they would graduate further to produce motor cars. This is how we are going to build on our collaboration in terms of climate change.
Amid the global movement toward a green transition, Korea and Pakistan are also working on more meaningful green partnerships. With Pakistan adding fuel to the transition to renewable energy and green vehicles, the two countries' partnership in this area is more important than ever. In July, they held the 2021 Korea-Pakistan Industrial Collabo webinar. There, it was predicted that renewable energy and mobility will be their two main areas of cooperation in the future. The increasing interest in electric vehicles in Pakistan, coupled with the urgency of establishing the necessary infrastructure, led to the formation of a new partnership in July between a Pakistani energy company and a Korean clean energy production startup, seeking to build more electric vehicle charging stations in Pakistan. The Korea Water Resources Corporation, known as K-Water, is also working with Pakistan on renewable energy. In July and October, they carried out global online training to share their technology and know-how on renewable energy with Pakistan. The sustainable development of the two nations in fighting climate change and achieving carbon neutrality will continue to grow and flourish as time goes on.
We have established a dialogue mechanism. The first meeting of this dialogue mechanism was held earlier this year, and establishment of this dialogue on climate change and science is another dimension to our bilateral relationship. We are very pleased that Pakistan is the first country with which Korea has established this dialogue on climate change and science. Actually, for Pakistan too, Korea is the first country with which we have established this dialogue. It gave us a good opportunity to discuss matters relating to climate change and science. Both sides briefed each other on their initiatives on climate change so that we could learn from each other. Pakistan and Korea also agreed to work together to ensure that our future economic collaboration does prioritize green technologies as well. We hope that in our future meetings, we would be having much more detailed discussions on the various initiatives which are taken during the year.
Well, I've asked all the questions that I wanted to ask, but from today's episode on, we decided to add a little segment within our program. So in this little jar here, we have a list of actions or small habits, changes, behaviors that we can change that will help reduce our own carbon footprint. So if you would...
yeah, I need an inspiration anyway.
Pick out one paper.
Okay.
Yeah. And can you read out what it is?
Okay. Vegetarian diet.
Ah, okay.
I think this is a very good tip. In any case, for our health, we should become vegetarian once or twice a week because plant-based diet is good for health too. It's good for environment. So absolutely, this is something that I should consider more going forward.
And I think it's very weird or interesting at the same time because before coming to the interview, we actually stopped by at a vegetarian restaurant. So
very good.
It feels weird that you picked that out. But thank you very much, Ambassador, for taking the time to talk to us today. It was a really pleasant conversation, and I was able to learn a lot about Pakistan's efforts in the fight against climate change. So
thank you so much. I really enjoyed our conversation.
Hope to see you again soon.
Hope to see you too.
Yeah,
thank you so much. 감사합니다.
After our talk today, I jotted down the one message that stuck with me the most.
think this is a small token of appreciation prepared by our staff. And it's a pot made with used coffee grounds, so
Oh,
it's
wow.
not plastic. So you can plant a
So
small,
I should do my part.
It's not a
for the
tree, but it's a
environment.
plant. So
Thank you so much.
small effort.
Small effort. Thank you so much.